that. So he laughed.
One more time.
One last discussion show as we get closer to finalizing the SportsMax Ultimate Test 11. Today the panel will be selecting their 4 bowlers while the zone team will reveal theirs. It is also the final day of voting. That means it is your last chance to impact the final decision at www.sportsmax.tv/ultimate. The online votes are worth, of course, 40%, while the selections of the panel and the zone team count for 30% each. Well, let's first clear up what happened at the end of Thursday's show. We were unable to break the deadlock between Curtly Ambrose and Wasim Akram for the 6th and the final place on today's show. Chris Taylor, who was on the show on Wednesday, therefore had the final say, and he went with Ambrose. But there's a twist. Tino Best, who is back into the attack and firing, has attained or retained Akram as his wild card. So we start today with 7 bowlers from which to choose 4. And it's 2 West Indians, Ambrose and Marshall, up against men from 5 other territories. We have Sri Lanka, Australia, Pakistan, New Zealand, and the next one would be South Africa. Ambrose, Akram, Hadley Marshall, Shane Warne, Muralitharan, and Dale Steen. Those are the men that we'll be deciding on. Let's welcome today's experts on the show. Former West Indies fast bowler Tino LeBertram Best and Kenneth Benjamin. Regional cricket umpire Chris Taylor is here to keep them on course, in line, and not overstepping. And we also have cricket commentator Sachin Ramsubag. Also note that today's final decision will include votes from David Brooke and Zahir Clark, who had been earlier panelists. Let's start our discussion by asking Chris why he went for Ambrose over Akram, and then get Tino's thoughts as to why he has brought the Pakistani back. Chris Taylor and Tino standing by to challenge what you've said. Chris, your thoughts?
As always on the field of play, yes, there's always a battle there. I just think it's tough when it comes down to this part of the whole journey. I mean, all of these fast bowlers are great in their own way. I just thought that generally Curtly Ambrose was a little more consistent in terms of his aggression and what he brought to the opposition in his time. If you even look at his figures in terms of the averages and so on, I mean, both of them have a very similar strike rate. And yes, Wasim Akram is a left armer, which adds some variety to an attack always. But I just think Curtly Ambrose, tenacious self, and so on, gets him in above for me. I mean, there was an intimidation factor about Curtly Ambrose that I just don't think that Wasim Akram had. Both very skillful. I would like to think that Wasim Akram probably swung the ball more than Curtly Ambrose. But Curtly Ambrose accuracy and his ability to move the ball off the seam, and that tenacious factor for me is what gives him the slight edge. And I find that apart from his slight struggles against India, if you look at the rest of the teams, he's a little bit more consistent than Wasim Akram.
Yeah, Tino, any comeback from what Chris Taylor has put on the table?
He's absolutely correct. The only reason I add Wasim Akram in was for variety. So I have my initial, when to be fair, when you look at Wasim Akram career and stuff, he was just phenomenal, and just that variety. Sometimes as a kid, I wish I was I was a left-hander just to bowl like Wasim Akram. That's how he has made an impact on all fast bowlers. But Chris is right. If you're gonna pick a fast bowler over him, if you got is only him and Ambrose, you go with Ambrose for sure. So I submit to Chris, and this is not a good wild card. I just put it in for variety. Yeah. But my person who I want to argue about that is not in this initial 6 is for in a moment or two.
Well, I think you should introduce it now, because we're at the point, Tino, where based on what you have said, we can take Akram out then, because Akram has lost the battle with Curtly Ambrose. So if you have a name to come in that we haven't discussed yet, we still have to vote on everyone, but this is the time to introduce a name that you would want to.
Dennis Lillee. Why is Dennis Lillee not there?
Well, we had discussed that when we started.
He is the godfather of fast bowling.
Very good point. I'm not sure
It's actually embarrassing. Whoever picked these guys is embarrassing. It's wrong to fast bowling. I got my fellow West Indian, Kenneth Benjamin. I leave the floor to him.
Yeah. Kenny, we had broached this idea before, George. We did mention from the outset that it was a little surprising that Dennis Lillee wasn't a part of the original list of 16 based on the impact that he had as a fast bowler and widely regarded as one of the greatest fast bowlers of all time. Now, to be fair, the list is an August list, and there's no fast bowler on this list that doesn't have, you'd say, iconic status. So Lillee is one of several. But certainly for my money, I thought he should have been there in the first place. Kenneth Benjamin, what were your thoughts on Dennis Lillee?
Yes, I thought that he should have been in the 16. I don't believe you can pick 16 all-time fast bowlers and Dennis Lillee not being in it. His record is excellent, and I think that he was the fast bowler in terms of revolutionizing fast bowling, and he just didn't do it, and then everyone came and passed him up. He's still up there in terms of record and actually what he did. So his status is just as good as any of the bowlers in the 16. But when you look at it, so were the other 16, so it was really tough. He should have been there, but it was really, really a tough 16.
Yeah, well, he had 355 test wickets. His bowling average and his economy better than some that we had in the, let's say 10, because it was 10 fast bowlers and 6 spinners. So he wasn't left out of a 16-man fast bowlers list. He was left out of a fast bowlers 10-man list. Yeah, but as we said, as we said, given what he, if you talk to a lot of Australian experts, and I went here, George, when I spoke about the wicket keepers and the fact that Rod Marsh was discarded pretty quickly. I think there are a lot of Australian experts and a lot of genuine cricket people in Australia who would consider Dennis Lillee a greater fast bowler than Glenn McGrath, who still remains on our list.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least until yesterday.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know if you just go do a poll of the Aussie voices that have been stapled on cricket commentary over the years. I doubt you'd find one of them, even those who played with Pigeon, Glenn McGrath, who would say he was a superior fast bowler to Dennis Lillee. And it's the nature of selections like these that absolute legends of the game, you're going to have to find things to bore holes in their record or in their accomplishments to justify why you're favoring someone else over them. Because in truth and in fact, I can't see you put Dennis Lillee's credentials on a chalkboard or to take the sum total of his career into consideration and tell me that he is inferior to any of the fast bowlers we started this selection with. It's a task. It's a futile task.
Yes.
It's a task in futility, but it's about who you like more than the other, and that's why we have some absolute legends who really didn't get a look in.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, let's look at the first three then, and as you speak, gentlemen, as we move to you one by one, address the Dennis Lillee issue, and we have 7 fast bowlers now that we're looking at, and we have to cut that list down to probably 3 because there has to be room for at least 1 spinner. Kenneth Benjamin, let's go to you first, and we're looking at the first list here with Lillee, Ambrose, Akram, and Dale Steyn. This is 4 of the 7 that we'll be presenting. A quick comment. Well, you already spoke about Dennis Lillee, so we'll ask you to move on to the others. And if there's any here that, as far as you're concerned, won't make the final list of fast bowlers.
There's 3 there that won't make my final list. Mm-hmm. The only one I'm keeping is Dale Steyn. Again, when I look on Dennis Lillee, I definitely think I would have him 4th in fast bowling, but Curtly Ambrose, to me, very good, but I believe that he have to go as well. Wasim Akram is the only bowler in this group, or in the 7, that is not averaging even 2 wickets per innings. He's not even averaging 4 wickets per match. So when you look at that, just because he's a left-hander and he swings the ball, that is not good enough for me. I need more quality. So the only one I'm keeping out of this group is Dale Steyn.
All right, Kenny, we're going to move on. You did seem to be struggling a bit to justify the omission of Curtly Ambrose, who is also from Antigua, where you are. But we understand the point that you just made. Tino Best, another former West Indies fast bowler. You've seen the 4 that we just looked at. Any of those 4 you're keeping for the final list of fast bowlers?
I'm going to keep Dennis Lillee and Curtly Ambrose.
Lillee and Ambrose from that group?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Tino Best has Lillee and Ambrose in. Lillee, of course, a wild card of sorts introduced by Tino Best on this, the final day of selection. Chris Taylor, there's the 4 on the table. Lillee, Ambrose, Akram, Dale Steyn. Which of those catch your fancy?
All catch my fancy, but all can't stay. I would be agreeing that I would be cutting Wasim Akram from that list. I just thought that the others, in terms of consistency and what they brought to the game, are a little bit more consistent and up to the mark. I think Dale Steyn is the best fast bowler of the modern era, and he is far ahead of all the rest in that era as well. I think that what he achieved. So for me, I will just cut Wasim Akram initially, and we'll take it from there.
All right. What constitutes the modern era for you, though, Chris, just to be clear?
Well, Dale Steyn would have started his career in 2004?
Yes.
He just retired last year in 2019. I think if you look at the achievements of Dale Steyn within his time of 2004 to 19, he's unparalleled. There is nobody even close in terms of achievement and what he brought to the game. Very aggressive, always coming at the batsman, extremely fit in terms of always maintaining his pace, even at the third spell for the day. I thought that was amazing for a man that is not ultra tall or big by any means. And as I said, he was far above everybody else who played in his era. So to me, I mean, and with a strike rate of 42, that is amazing for a fast bowler that is so aggressive, and to still maintain an average of 22 with the ball is quite remarkable.
Yeah, all right, Chris, let's get...
In an era that I think...
All right, I want Sachin to comment here, because you mentioned the modern era, but most of the rivals that he's up against then wouldn't fit into that modern era you're speaking of. So it's almost a non-issue to say that he is the best of the modern era when his main rivals in this current discussion would not have fallen in that era. Sachin, anything to challenge Chris on what he just said?
Yeah, I agree. Dale Steyn, he was probably the best fast bowler of the modern era as it compares to the other guys who played in the 1970s, 80s, 90s. Akram played up until the year 2000-something. But you know what? Dale Steyn, in my opinion, he had some supporting roles in Vernon Philander at times. There was Amoni Morkel who picked up 303 test wickets as well on the other end. For a very short period of time, Makaya Ntini, one of the greatest fast bowlers that South Africa has produced from the years 1990s, the late 1990s to 2000s. So I thought that he had some support there on the other end, but you know what? I don't think he's going to be making my final 4 based on what we've seen. Dale Steyn, yes, fantastic swing bowler as well, a great pace, bowling at above 140 clicks. I don't think there's anybody else at this current time that can bowl at such consistency, swinging the ball both ways, seaming as well. The slips always engrossed in Dale Steyn bowling. However, he is not going to be making my list of the final 4. So from this list that you just displayed on the screen of the graphic, Dale Steyn will not be making my cut, unfortunately. And I also want to touch on Wasim Akram. Yesterday, I got some blows for picking Wasim Akram over Curtly Ambrose, but I found that margin of error just 20 minutes before airtime that Curtly Ambrose may very well edge over Wasim Akram, and I'll tell you why. Curtly took most of his wickets against Australia and England, and at that time, those were the 2 strongest test-playing nations of that particular decade. And if you can pick up 124 wickets and 164 wickets, respectively, against those guys, I think you certainly deserve a spot in the final 4.
Yeah. Tino, any challenges on what has been said so far by the other three panelists? You have, based on your track record, tended to favor a lot of the more contemporary cricketers that you played against and you saw. Interesting that you brought Dennis Lillee in, but anything Chris or Kenny or Sachin said that you would want to challenge?
Nah, not at all. More like brilliant guys. I mean, like the point about Dale Steyn, even though I didn't pick him, right, is phenomenal. Dale Steyn is like an Energizer bunny that everybody tried to get to his level, even myself. And so kudos. It was a tough situation to not to select him, but his strike rate. I know fast bowling is all about strike rate. And to have a strike rate of 42 guys, that's crazy low. I think the only body that's close to him maybe Malcolm Marshall at 43. So to cut him, but I feel for Chris. But yeah, and the fact about Ambrose as well taking those wickets against the two strongest teams. As a fast bowler, you always want to get your wickets against the best teams. It is a certain gratification you feel when you get them wickets against big teams. So, like for my first test wicket, just to show you a quick point, my first test wicket was Graham Thorpe. I grew up watching Graham Thorpe. I saw Graham Thorpe score hundreds in Australia against Brett Lee. So to get him out, it was a certain feeling getting him as my number one wicket. Ambrose did it on 164 occasions and 134 occasions. That is amazing, guys. So,
yeah. Yeah, just on a point of accuracy, Dale Steyn's 42 has Waqar Younis at 43 strike rate, closest to him, Malcolm Marshall actually at 46. But we're going to the break, gentlemen. When we come back from the break, we've got to finalize our bowlers. 4 of them we'll be selecting, 7 existing at the moment. There are 2 spinners in there that we haven't discussed yet, Muralitharan and Shane Warne. Back after this.
Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. We are moments away from the panelists casting their final votes to decide on the 4 bowlers they're picking in their ultimate Test 11. The online numbers continue to be really, really close in this category. Nothing much separates the bowlers on the online list, and we can update you. Muralitharan, 15.13, then a few percentage points behind, well, not even 1 percentage point behind, less than that. Malcolm Denzel Marshall, 14.9, and Curtly Ambrose, 14.03. Shane Warne, 11.72. Glenn McGrath, 10.83%. The man in 6th place, 10.65%, Wasim Akram. And you must note, there are 2 spinners in the top 4 online. The online vote shows 2 spinners in the top 4. I don't know if that's instructive for our panel of experts or not. Well, let's get back to that panel and start by discussing whether it should be Warne versus Muralitharan or to have them both in the final 11. All right, let's get right to it. Sachin, I wanted to take first crack at this. Warren and Murali together, or Warren or Murali?
At the beginning of this entire selection process, guys, I originally had two spinners with two pacers. So that would have been Shane Warne and Muralitharan with one of the two pacers that would have been debated thoroughly. But I think yesterday the producers together with the host as well, you guys particularly said one spinner at least, and then we move with three pacers. But I'm going to back up what I said originally of two pacers versus two spinners. We were not sure. Let's picture we're playing this unofficial match against a World 11 or something. We're not too sure where this game is going to be played, the conditions, the time of the year. So in order to have a particularly well-balanced team, having a leg spinner and an off spinner, a guy who's known as a mystery spinner who can bowl the doosras, the top spinner, the regulation off spinner as well, and along with a Chinaman, Googly. Goodness me, that is something very devastating to face, along with two mighty fast bowlers, maybe a Malcolm Marshall and a Hadley. However, based on what we've seen here, I think if we're maintaining that one spinner, it is certainly going to be the man with 800 wickets from Sri Lanka, Muttiah Muralitharan.
Sachin, I don't want you to misread what we said, because what you said just now accords with the guidance we gave. We say at least one spinner, so you can have two, but you can't have four fast bowlers is the guidance we were giving. So what you said accords with the rules laid down by the producers and from the hosts from the start of this selection. So you are right where you're supposed to be. Tino, I ask you, do we go with Shane Warne and Muttiah Muralitharan, or will you be satisfied walking with just one, given the quality you have in the fast bowling department?
Yeah, I mean, when you're picking a team, obviously, you always pick three fast bowlers and a spinner and hope that you got a bowling all-rounder that can bowl some overs for you. That's what most teams generally go to. You don't really see much teams that's not from the subcontinent play two spinners at one time. If I go to choose, I'm going to choose Shane Warne. Why I choose Shane Warne is that it's something about Warney. Warney was super cool. I think I like cool athletes. You know what I mean?
But Warne wasn't cooler than Muralitharan, Tino. Warne wasn't cooler than Muttiah Muralitharan.
He was very aggressive, as a matter of fact.
George.
Caught with many fights as well.
I'm talking about the cricketer, the entirety of the cricketer, his persona. I'm not talking about his cricketing ability as yet. What I'm saying is that Warne was the bigger than life. There's the three biggest, me personally, the three biggest superstars I have in the world of cricket that make people head turn. Was Sir Garfield Sobers, Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar, Shane Warne.
So, I understand what you mean. Hold on, Tino. Let me see if I can straighten out the description for the viewers. When you say cool, you're talking about off-field persona as well. And you're talking about that rock star, pop star quality aligned with outstanding cricketing talent. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, please.
There you go, sir. Proceed.
He was a bigger than life character, and Shane Warne was just amazing on the cricket field. I mean, bowling that ball to Mike Gatting, that was like the ball of the century, guys. Like, I absolutely love Murali. He is phenomenal turning the ball, but I always look at contests in terms of like when guys got dominated in their backyards. There's not many times that guys went to Australia and totally dominated Shane Warne in his own backyard, right? I could be wrong. But has there been something like what Brian Lara did to Muralitharan on dust bowls? Brian Lara scores 8 runs against supposedly the greatest off spinner in 6 innings, guys. That's total dominance. I don't think anyone has ever dominated Shane Warne like that in one series, guys. So that's just my opinion.
Not true. The rebuttals are coming, Tino, but finish the point, because the rebuttals are coming. Finish the point.
Yeah, so I mean, I stand to be corrected, guys. Don't get me wrong. This is not written in stone. But Shane Warne is my choice because I just think he's just a bigger than, he's iconic. He's the most iconic spinner in terms of everything.
Tina, if the truth is written in stone, find the stone first and throw it away. Problem solved. Chris, let me ask you. Tina says nobody dominated Murali the way Lara did in that 2001 series where the West Indies were spanked as a team, but Lara stood tall over everybody, finished man of the series in a series where the West Indies were beaten 3 and beaten comfortably across those 3 tests. I'm sure, Chris, you have a certain name to mention to Tino about another man who also tamed Murali in his backyard. Pressure on you, Chris?
No, I'm not going to go there. I actually think that the only person who really dominated Muralitharan in his time, in his career, was actually Brian Lara, who totally dominated him.
No Tendulkar, Chris? This is where I was going. No Tendulkar?
No, I don't think that Tendulkar dominate. When I said dominate, Muralitharan had no answers for Brian Lara in that 3-test series, any at all. Everything he bowled was obliterated. I think Sachin Tendulkar was a master of his ability, but I don't think that, I wouldn't say that he tore apart Muttiah Muralitharan at all. Where I disagree with Tino is that I actually think that Shane Warne was dominated at different parts of his career. He struggled in India. He struggled badly in India, actually. He was dominated by many of the Indian batsmen in India. Was dominated at times by Brian Lara as well in quite a few innings. So, I mean, both have had their time, but I think Muralitharan, the only person who fully dominated him was Brian Lara. And to be honest, when you look at both are amazing spinners, but it's hard to ignore 67 5-wicket hauls and 22 10-wicket hauls. I mean, that is, his appetite for wickets is crazy.
Chris.
And even though Shane Warne...
Chris, let me ask you this, Chris. Tino is making much of the point of Shane Warne being a pop star, rock star. Should that have any bearing into comparing men on the cricketing field, do you think?
I like where Tino is going, but that wouldn't put bearing on my decision. I get what he's trying to say, that iconic figures are people like to see iconic figures. That's just the truth. We've spoken about many of them in the top 7 so far. Yes, Shane Warne is iconic, but so is Muttiah Muralitharan. He was not wild like Shane Warne in terms of the hair and the outrageous bar episodes and all these things, but and the anger management issues. But I still think he was iconic in his own way. I mean, if you think about Muttiah Muralitharan's eyes and how he bowled, I mean, he revolutionized off-spin bowling with the doos, all kind of things. So, I mean, his persona in itself was something special, just in a different...
I have to go with the man who's averaging 6-point-something wickets per match. That is absolutely phenomenal.
All right, gentlemen, let me do this right now then. We're going to go and pick the fast bowlers now. But I'm just going to go around the box and we pick our spinner. Chris, which spinner are you going with?
Muralitharan.
Thank you. Sachin, are you going with them both or just taking one?
I'll stick with Muralitharan. I have Sachin Tendulkar as my part-timer.
Tino.
Boy, I gotta go with Muralitharan, boy.
You have to out to dry, man.
What the devil is this?
I jump off. I jump
Just come
off.
up weak, man.
Oh my goodness. Tino Best, if you are a Superman, Chris Taylor is your kryptonite. Kenneth Benjamin, for the record, which spinner are you going with this, eh?
I gotta go with Murali for real. Because Kenny made a very important point there.
Yes.
And he said if you're looking to pick the best possible team on paper in terms of average.
Where's yours?
Murali.
All right, so I wanted to get it on the record, Lance, because I wanted it to be unanimous. So Muralitharan was by unanimous panel decision the spinner of choice. All right, let's get them fast bowlers back up on the screen, and we're going to get the selection. So each of you can pick 3 fast bowlers, and I'm going to start with the man in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Sachin, give us your 3 now.
Honestly, guys, this is a very tough decision. I feel like I'm giving my dissertation in front of thousands of judges. No, seriously, guys. Let me just put this out there. It is indeed a pleasure just even talking about these greats. But my pacers has to be on top of the list: Malcolm Marshall, Richard Hadley, and Sir Curtly Ambrose. Those will be my three selections. I booted out Akram mainly because of that point, Ambrose and Akram making that comparison there. It was between both of them. And when I saw the fact that 134 wickets, 164 wickets versus England, Australia, the two toughest number 1 and 2 in the world at that particular time, I think if you're a great player, then picking up wickets against the greatest team in the world at that particular era, then you are not just great, but you're phenomenal. Over the boundary.
Absolutely so. I believe that there is need for a fast bowler in an ultimate 11 who the batsmen see, and before he bowls, they're scared of him. Curtly Ambrose is that guy, and then he's going to prove why you should be scared of him. So, all right, so Ambrose, Sir Richard Hadlee, and Malcolm Marshall, the three fast bowlers picked by Sachin. Chris, for the record, what say you?
Yeah, Malcolm Marshall at the top of my list. In terms of fast bowlers, amazing quality strike rate, no matter where he went, any surface, the most intelligent, I think, of all the fast bowlers. He, number one. I think Sir Richard Hadlee adds a nice variety, so I agree with Sachin. Not necessarily as quick as them, but his ability to move the ball and swing the ball in any direction, bowl the ball on the same spot every time was amazing, wherever he went. 10 wicket hauls against all of the test playing nations except one. Is phenomenal as well. So he gets my second pick. And the third one for me was between Curtly and Dale Steyn. And I am going to lean towards the South African, even though, Curtly Ambrose from a personality standpoint is probably one of my favorites of all time, if not my favorite. But I think Dale Steyn's accomplishments in an era dominated by the bat, in an era that suited batting, the bats were amazing, protection, everything. To be leaps and bounds above everybody else and perform the way he did, I think he deserves to be there as that third man. Very aggressive as well, very attacking, very fit, and can maintain that pressure throughout the entire day. I think he was phenomenal. And for me, the difference is he came in an era that was batting dominated. It didn't suit the fast bowlers as much.
Chris Taylor has Curtly Ambrose in reserve. All right, no problem, no quarrel. I'm going to leave the antique and to Stu for last because I want him to tell the millions watching us that he's going to leave his countryman hanging on the line. Let me go to Tino Best. Tino, you're three pacers, my friend.
My three pacers basically is starting off with the greatest of all times, Malcolm Denzel Marshall. Someone that I looked up to as a kid, getting the opportunity to run around with my Uncle Carly Best in the Barbados dressing room. Always liked him, always loved his energy. May he continue to rest in peace and go with him. The second one is Chris. Chris is a very smart man. Sir Richard Hadlee. He wasn't as quick and as one of the greatest fast bowlers in terms of his pace. But in terms of mindset and skill, everybody wanted to be like him. I always hear the great fast bowlers like Wayne Daniel and all those guys always talk about Hadlee, and I could not leave Hadlee out of this. So Hadlee is number 2. And my third, the man that got 7 wickets for one round against Australia. I used to mash up Australia as a little boy. I used to feel so good to see Curtly Ambrose. Curtly Ambrose is the most brutal thing I have ever seen bowling the cricket ball ever in life. I used to be scared watching Curtly Ambrose. The greatest and one of the greatest of all times. Sir Curtly Ambrose. Those are my 3 fast bowlers, gentlemen.
There you go. All right. So I'm very happy I went in that way because I'm trying to encourage my good friend Kenny Flipper Benjamin to have a change of mind, a change of heart. Kenny Benjamin, you are the last one on the panel to put in your 3 fast bowlers. Over to you, sir.
Well, Malcolm Marshall, definitely. Every young fast bowler wants to be Malcolm Marshall. Richard Hadlee, to me, is the perfect fast bowler. Everybody agreed wasn't as quick, but in terms of efficiency, knowledge, and just a classic fast bowler to watch and effective as well, he's my second one. And the man who made fast bowling look easy in the last era, what he has done in this era on these pitches, home and away, I have to give him the nod. And there's so many great fast bowlers, but the top three for me, and those are the three I'm going with, Marshall, Hadley, and Dale Steyn.
So Dale Steyn gets 2, Ambrose gets 2. Mr. Producer, have you tallied it? What does it look like our panel have done with their tally? All right, we're gonna do that. They're working out the numbers behind the glass. Lance, the zone picks. What about the zone picks? What about them zone picks? Do we have them? Yeah, they're coming up on the screen.
Up in a sec because they had to be put in a pile and then the consensus came out.
Let me just tell you that Curtly Ambrose is, I don't know. Curtly Ambrose was just, he represented everything you wanted in a fast bowler. He had venom, he had menace. He did not just scowl at the batsman, he had the ability to make the ball scowl. And I struggle to see how Malcolm Marshall is God. Richard Hadley is near God. But among the others, I struggle to see how you can leave Curtly behind. At the same time, Dale Steyn, he deserves every plaudit that he gets. The man was a demon.
To be quite honest,
Dale Steyn is outstanding.
It's a tough call. I don't know what the zone selection finally was.
They're ready.
I put mine in, yours went in, and let's see what the full team decided on.
Yeah, let's see what the full zone pick is. I can tell you what mine is, and Lance can tell you what his is afterwards. So the zone pick is Gavaskar, Hayden. We're talking about the whole team. So Gavaskar, Hayden for the zone, Lara Tendulkar, Bradman for the zone, Sir Gary as the all-rounder, wicketkeeper Gilchrist, and then the bowlers, Marshall, Ambrose, Murali, and Wasim Akram. So something is wrong with this because there's, there you go. Yeah, one spinner, Murali. There you go. Yeah. So we had 3 fast bowlers and 1 spinner. The spinner is Murali Thuran. Wasim Akram gets in, Curtly Ambrose, and Malcolm Marshall. Lance, both you and myself said at the top of this selection that our bowlers would be Malcolm Marshall, Ambrose, and some others.
Yes.
And I maintain that.
That was actually my 4.
Your 4?
Yeah, so it seems as if the zone was consistent.
Yeah, that was my 4 as well. Yeah, because I was the one who championed Wasim Akram very early.
Yeah,
there you go.
Akram squeezed in for me. It was a tough call because
Sorry, I had Richard Hadley.
Instead of?
Yes, instead of Akram.
So you were championing Akram's cause and then you left him. But you did a Wayne Lewis.
No, I did a Tino Best.
Okay.
There you go. All right, let's go to the panel's choice. So the panel picked Gavaskar and Hayden as their openers. They had Lara Tendulkar and Viv. The panel picked Viv. The zone team picked Bradman. The panel, they picked Viv. Sir Gary for the all-rounder. Everybody picked Sir Gary. Wicketkeeper Gilchrist. Everybody picked Adam Gilchrist. And then the bowlers, Hadley, Marshall, Steyn, and Murali Thuran. So Malcolm Marshall. So 1 West Indian, a Sri Lankan, a South African, and a New Zealander. The panel's choice of bowlers in the ultimate Test 11.
Yeah, I would have to say I'm disappointed with the panel because I can't see you picking 3 fast bowlers and Ambrose not being there. But they spoke and they gave their reasons. But Sir Curtly, for me, would clearly be someone that would be in there for me. The
reason I'm not too upset is because the man who squeezed Sir Curtly out appears to be Dale Steyn, and I can't think of anything negative to say about Dale Steyn as a bowler. What we can tell the viewers, and is that Monday is a public holiday in Jamaica, so there'll be no live show. However, on this Tuesday when we return, we'll reveal the SportsMax Ultimate Test 11 after we've plugged in what the viewers online have voted for. Remember, you have until the end of today, meaning up to 11:59 p.m. to vote SportsMax.tv Ultimate, and you can still make the difference. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Tino. And thank you, Mr. Kenneth Benjamin, who will have difficulty getting service at some establishments in Antigua over this weekend at least.